HaytersTV is delighted to be working in partnership with Retro Football Manager, a fast-growing retro-themed football management app with over 120,000 active users. Dive into over 200 plus seasons, many with multiple divisions, and relive football history. You can manage the club you support and lead them to glory. Compete with other managers on individual and club leaderboards to find the very best online football managers. Pick any era, manage legendary teams and players, and lead your club to victory. It's absolutely fantastic. All the relevant info and download links are in the description below. Hello and welcome to the second episode of our Transfer Daily podcast with me, Dan Nodlam, Nick Callow and Japtej Ghura, who is out in the US with Chelsea for the Club World Cup. Japtej, how are you doing?
Yeah, good mate. Okay, doing well.
How's life at Chelsea?
Yeah, good. Busy. Obviously, like you mentioned, the Club World Cup, and even though they're in this competition, still busy with transfers. Just wrapped up Joao Pedro, so yeah, busy. Personally, I don't see what he offers that Chelsea don't already have, but he's definitely a good player, and obviously he fits the model of what they're trying to go for. Young player, a lot of potential. I feel like potentially they didn't really need him, but he is a good player.
There's talk of Arsenal looking at Madueke. Does that mean he's going? Well, quite a few players have to go before the start of the season.
Yeah, I think a lot of the noise is that they're open to selling Madueke. Like you mentioned, Arsenal obviously interested. I think Madueke is a really good player with a lot of potential. He's probably the one Chelsea winger who has really direct threat, a lot of pace. I feel like Chelsea may potentially regret it, but also Jamie Gittens, who's coming in, is a similar type of player. But I think Madueke is a very solid player.
And I think the question is now that with all these attacking signings is how is Enzo Maresca going to fit all these players in? I mean, I read this morning that they're going to have potentially 9 attacking players within their squad next season. So how on earth is he going to keep the ones that are not playing happy and integrate the new ones into a team that's already full of such attacking talent?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It's obviously different this season coming up to last season because last season they had the Conference League. And for the first half of the season, Maresca was basically playing 111 in the Conference League and 111 in the Premier League. So it was quite a good way of keeping everyone happy. Now that they're in the Champions League, you don't have that luxury. So, I mean, they did need some recruitment because obviously Mudryk can't play. If they're trying to offload someone like Madueke, there's a lot of really young players who probably wouldn't be getting much game time anyway. For example, Esteval, I think he's really going to have to be bedded in, possibly go out on loan. Someone like Pedro Neto didn't have the best season last season, and Maresca's quite a ruthless manager, so I feel like he might just say, look, this is my best 11, these are my favoured players, and whoever doesn't make the cut, I'm happy to just keep them on the bench or not even in the squad. So I'm sure that Maresca will be pretty cutthroat about it, but they do have a lot of players.
Now that Pedro and potentially Gittins are in now as well, do you see that there's no way back for Madueke now? Do you think he'll be out the door before the end of the window?
I don't think there's no way back for him. I just think that if an offer does come in from, say, example, Arsenal, that's quite tempting, I don't think they'd be completely able to shut it down. But like I said, I do think that Madueke has the most talent out of any of the current Chelsea wingers. And I think Maresca probably thinks similar. So I don't think he's completely out the door. But I think that with the amount of attacking signings they're making, it probably is signalling, dangerous territory for him.
And what's it been like for Chelsea out there? Because we've got a Manchester City fan correspondent in the office here at Hayters who seems to be quite relieved that City are out. Now they can have a rest and prepare for the new season proper. Has it been a plus or a minus for Chelsea being out there in America?
I think that question can be best answered when you see if they win it or not. I mean, they've got a very favourable draw, as we know, Palmeiras on Friday, and then either Fluminense or Al Hilal in the semi-final. So realistically, there's no excuse for them to now not make the final. So if they were to go on to win it with this new expanded version, obviously in America, it would be very prestigious, and I feel like not just in terms of financial reward, just actually the prestige of winning the tournament. I think everyone at the club would probably say it's well worth it, even if the players get a little bit of rest. It was worth it. But say they get to the final and then lose to Real Madrid, PSG, whoever, then you are thinking, wow, well now we've got a really small window for a holiday. and the players have to be straight back to it. So, I mean, obviously that was always going to be the case with this competition, but the position that Chelsea are in now, they really should be reaching the final.
Who has impressed you most on the tour? We've heard a lot about Josh Achimpong, and obviously Liam Delap, who's come in and hit the ground running straight away as well.
Yeah, I mean, Maresca spoke about Achimpong quite a few times throughout last season, saying, really strong quotes on just how much he liked him. And I've been really impressed with Liam Delap. I think he's hit the ground running, and I think that, Jackson's back eligible for the game on Friday, but I'd be shocked if he gets in the team because Delap's been so good, and obviously Jackson's proved now that he's unreliable. So, yeah, I think Delap, Achimpong. I actually think Pedro Neto's had quite a good tournament. Yeah, there's been a few players. I think in midfield, maybe a few of the players might be a bit surprised at how little game time they've had. Andre Santos, I think a lot of Chelsea fans were expecting to see more from him in this tournament. But Maresca spoke about how he still has to get used to the system and embed into the team. So there's been a few good performers, and I think Maresca's sort of treating this like a pre-season in terms of seeing who he wants to bed in and maybe who needs to go out on loan. So I think he's looking at probably a Nasugo and a Santos and thinking that they could do with some more training time and then maybe a loan at the start of next season.
Yeah, the players and the coaches who can be complaining about the heat and the standards of the pitches and just the whole sort of setup of the tournament. But what's it been like for supporters following it and for reporters like yourself down there in the field?
Yeah, so to be honest, I've been a bit surprised at the low attendances. The first game in Atlanta was on a Monday at 3 p.m. and even though the stadium held 75,000, you could sort of understand that there was just 22,000 in the stadium, even though it felt like less. But for example, last Saturday's game against Benfica, which was a knockout game on a Saturday at 4 p.m. local time, there was again 24,000 in a 74,000 stadium, and you're thinking, knockout game on a Saturday and the stadium's a third full. I mean, it does raise serious questions, and I'm sure FIFA are looking at this fairly disappointed because Chelsea are a massive global team and they've put a lot of effort into America. They basically come to America most seasons on the preseason tour. And the fact that, for a knockout game, it's a third full, I think the club and FIFA would be very disappointed. Not to mention, of course, on Saturday, that massive delay 1 hour and 45
What was
minutes.
that like? What was that like?
It was crazy. I mean, obviously the game got to the 85th minute and then you're waiting an hour and 45 minutes. It was longer than the game itself, and we were sort of going crazy in the press box. And they charge media for food in America. So
I feel the expenses came coming in here, then.
Well, I didn't get any food because it was like a cold sandwich for $14. So yeah, it's been strange, to be honest. I think on the one hand, it's obviously been good as a reporter in America, but I think for the fans, I think some of the local fans who have been coming to games have probably been disappointed. I spoke to a guy in Atlanta who'd come from California. He'd taken 1 day off work for the game. He'd flown 8 hours. He'd watched the game and he was going to fly 8 hours back. So he'd done a 16-hour round trip just for one game. I mean, that's a serious fan. I wonder how he felt seeing just 22,000 other people in the stadium. So, yeah, but also I think some teams have done well. For example, Real Madrid. I think every game that Madrid have played, there's been huge crowds. But obviously, they're probably the biggest club in the world. But otherwise, it has been a bit disappointing.
Are there many Chelsea fans out there come out from the UK?
I think there's very few. I've obviously been interviewing quite a few of them for our YouTube, and I've spoken to one fan who's from the UK. Every other fan has been local. I think when you factor in the cost plus the general unknown territory of this tournament, I don't think it quite made it worth it for many UK fans.
And obviously, we've heard about, we know about Joao Pedro now. We've heard about Gittens. Is there anyone else you think Chelsea need, or any positions they should be targeting? We've heard about the goalkeeper potentially, another centre half, a fullback.
I think the main two positions are probably centre back and goalkeeper. Obviously, they were in for Maignan before the competition started. I don't actually know now if they'll go back in for him. It sounded like it was a deal that they wanted to get done before the competition started, and maybe now they might not go back. And in terms of centre half, they've always sort of been interested in Jules Koundé at Barcelona. And really, that's probably a position where they've got a lot of options currently, but maybe the quality's not right there. Badiashile can be inconsistent. Obviously, Disasi was on loan. Colwell's been brilliant, and he's the one who always stays fit. And ideally, you'd have Fofana, who's ready-made and is really, really top quality, but you can't rely on him. I think I saw a stat that he's played about 35 games since joining Chelsea and missed 112, which is just ridiculous when you think of it like that. So that's probably a position where they don't want to reinforce, but just have to. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see once the competition finishes.
What's your sort of movements in the next couple of days?
So tomorrow is the MD-1 presser in Philadelphia, and then obviously Friday is the game. So looking forward to it, and let's see if Chelsea can make it to the semi-final.
Good to see you, Japtej, and thank you very much for tuning in, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a special guest as well, as we continue our look at the transfer window and moving ahead towards pre-season and the new Premier League season. Japtej, thanks very much. Take care, and we'll be seeing you again soon.
Thanks, guys.